welcome to the Sunday Prep Rally. I'm Jeannie Klein. We're gonna get going here. I have not my lawn guy here today. Today I actually have somebody that is fixing up an old table and making it look really cool by sanding it all down. So if you hear him or if he comes in the middle, don't mind him. Okay, cool. Let's do this thing. We are working on meal prep number 19. All right, if you are new here, head to prepnally.com, PREPANDRALLY, check it out and see how we rally through the week. We save so much time, so much money by meal prep. So let me show you what we're doing this week. Every Sunday we prep our Sunday staples, which I'll show you in a minute, but this is the menu this week. Don't mind my little thing covering my camera. I recently got scared of that. Got so nervous. So we have a menu for the week. We are making fish and papillote, which is a halibut that's baked in parchment paper. So good with pesto, really yummy. Repurposing that pesto in a second way. Hawaiian sloppy joes, which is vegan. And this menu is actually vegetarian this week. So I hope that makes all of you vegetarians really, really happy. I've already gotten a bunch of emails saying thank you for thinking of us vegetarians. So I hope you guys love this one, trying it out. Obviously, if you wanted to add some meat into it, you totally can. And I gave some suggestions on Instagram on how to do that, but just reach out if you still need assistance. We're making these Meze Bowls with eggplant, which I'm actually doing with cabbage today. I'll explain in a minute. And Avocado-Egg Mess, which is a fun little thing I came up with, which is kind of like a pizza in a way, but with pesto and egg, and it's so, so good. All right, so we're gonna bang out the Sunday prep rally, and let me just show you what that looks like. Right over here. That is our Sunday prep. All right, so if you head to that page on prepnally.com, when you subscribe, you get this PDF every single week. You get access to these plans. And every Sunday, we prep the Sunday prep rally items. So today we're doing zucchini and onion, zucchini fries and onion rings, charred eggplant. In today's case, for me, I'm doing cabbage, quinoa, Hawaiian vegan sloppy joes, pesto, and halibut and papillote. So let's just dive on in. Let's bang this thing out. Shouldn't take us too long. And you're gonna have amazing food all week long, save tons of time, tons of money, and your sanity all week. You guys are gonna be so happy. It's gonna be so good. Okay, let's go. So I'm actually having my my zucchini and onion mixture because I just didn't need as much as it for my week. So always feel free to either scale up or scale the recipes down. When I do any kind of pre-prep, I always try to wash as much as possible in advance, and that way when you go through your prep rally, it just takes very little time. Everything is stationed out for you, so I section everything out here. Whatever you could pre-peel, pre-wash, just saves a ton of time and a ton of effort. All right, we're all about saving time, money, effort, making your time in the kitchen way more enjoyable because nobody wants to spend that much time in the kitchen. All right, not even me. Even somebody who loves cooking, I just don't want to be in the kitchen all day. All right, so let's do this. So we have an oven preheated to 450, or if you wanted, you could even cover these prepared and then store them in your fridge overnight and then cook them fresh the day of. All right, that would just require you blotting off any excess moisture if there is any. All right, so feel free to do that. And you could always do that whenever you meal prep. You could even just prep everything and then cook it the day of. It's totally up to you how you want to go about doing this, okay? So I'm just taking my zucchini and I'm going to cut it into little strips. And I feel like as a kid, my mom used to always make zucchini sticks. Look at that, just cut them into little French fries almost. So if you have like a half a zucchini, you could just cut that into, let's say 2 pieces. So you have like little sticks. Kids love these because they are dunkable, they are crispy, they are crunchy, they're so good. So we have a little dredging station over here. As you can see, I have a little section with panko. And I have a flour mixture, which we're going to just spice up in a minute, and the egg mixture. So you could just dip this in plain egg, or you could even do the zucchini in plain egg and then do the onions this way. I'm just going to do it all this way. My ratios are all different right now because I'm using half of the amount of everything. So I don't know if I completely calculated it all right for me. But if you're following a regular PDF, it should be all worked out for you. So we're basically doing the same thing with the zucchinis and the onions. We're going to be dredging it In the flour mixture, I'm using whole wheat flour. You could use gluten-free, any kind of flour you like. And we are also going to be dunking it into this egg mixture, which we're going to make kind of like a vegan buttermilk. Not vegan, actually. Sorry. It's not vegan at all. It's a buttermilk that's a homemade buttermilk. So as you can see right here, I've taken milk and put vinegar inside. So do that and let it sit a couple minutes. You'll see it's kind of going to curdle. And it's kind of going to gross you out, but that is sort of what buttermilk is. It has acid in it, which makes it curdle. And it gives it really, really, really good kind of tangy flavor. So go ahead and do that. You could just make the mixture all together, like take the eggs, put the milk in, put the vinegar. I just separated it mainly for you guys to be able to see the curtilage. But you could also do this with straight up eggs. I've done it that way as well. I just like, especially for the onion rings, I like it when it has that like tangy buttermilky kind of flavor. It makes it a little bit different than just a breadcrumb. So here we go. So for the onions, I'm cutting off the tops and the bottoms, as you could see. Slicing like this. A little slit just through the first layer. Pulling it off. Peel, peel, peel. Okay. And then onion rings need to be cut into rings, right? So, and you should have double the amount of onions here. All I'm going to do is take a little onion and we're going to cut like 4 or 5 little rings here. So 1, 2, say 3. I'm going to leave the last one and try to keep them as intact as possible. Okay? There we go. So we have 4 there. 1, 2, 3. We're going to get 1 more out of this guy. Perfect. Okay. So we have everything set up for us. So check it out. We have our zucchinis on our sheet pan. You want to keep your sheet pan standing by. If you're doing the regular amount, following the recipe, you're going to want 2 sheet pans. 1 for the zucchini, 1 for the onion. I'm doing half of the amount for both, so I'm using 1 large sheet pan for everything. Okay, so here we go. And for all the exact recipes, head to prepandrally.com or download your PDF. These are all available for you as a subscriber, and all the exact recipes are on there. So I have my flour mixture over here. We're just going to season it with a little bit of salt and garlic powder. Whenever I order garlic powder, I get annoyed because I call it garlic powder, but really garlic granules is what I want. So if you're shopping online specifically, you should always specify that if you want garlic granules. I don't like the powdery garlic. I really prefer when it's the granules of it. It just like blends into things a little better. I guess in this case, in a powder, it blends pretty well, actually. But like if you're putting it into like a soup or something, it usually just kind of clumps up, and I don't like it so much. All right, so we have our flour mixture, which is all seasoned now. We have plain panko breadcrumbs. If you wanted to season that up, you can. You could put a little bit of salt in there if you'd like, or you could even use seasoned panko as well. And then we have our egg mixture here. So crack your eggs into your bowl, following along with the recipe. Take your, oh man, my fork. Lost him. There we go. Okay, pour your curdled milk and vinegar into there. It's kind of like your buttermilk. And you could use any kind of milk. You could use skim milk. So it's a great way of like making it like a buttermilk, but doing it in a lower fat way if you wanted to use skim milk. Okay, mix it together. You're going to smell that vinegar. Perfect. Okay, so that is the egg mixture. And that's it. So we have our dredging station. And this is the most annoying part of the whole meal prep. I can't stand breading and dredging. It just takes a lot of time, but there's always like one thing throughout our prep rally that's like worth the time and effort, and these are really good. And your kids are going to be just munching on zucchinis, and you're going to be so happy. So it's worthwhile. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to lightly coat them in your flour, very lightly, shake up any excess, and then put them into that egg mixture, okay? So we're just going to keep working with all the zucchinis and all of the onions. Doesn't matter which ones you do first. You're going to get to all of them and do the exact same thing with all these, okay? And again, if you wanted to skip this step and just straight up roast your zucchinis to make them a little bit lighter and healthier, or if you don't have kids and you don't care about them eating this, or you don't care about, you know, doing all the dredging and all that, just roast it. You could even grill the onions. It's totally your call. Okay, I'm gonna get tongs because that'll just be easier for me now. Here we go. Okay, you ready? So we're gonna mix this all around here. Boo-boo. And okay, so these are gonna be, there we go. Okay, so right after you get into that egg mixture, drain it off really well and pop it into your panko. And then just keep working, okay? And it's at these times that I really miss the live, because now is such a good time to be like, hi everyone, where are you tuning in from, right? I kind of miss the live. And a lot of you are asking when we're gonna go live again, and honestly, I miss it so much, but it really was, first of all, it's hard for me because I have 2 kids, so getting them out of the house at that hour on a Sunday was just never so easy. Wait, pause everyone, hang on. Grab either your olive oil or your spray, and spray either your parchment lined baking sheet or your baking sheet straight up, because that way it's gonna get nice and golden and crisp and brown on the bottom as well, okay? So what I was saying was, it was really hard getting the kids out at that hour. In the beginning, we would send them to the park with a babysitter, but then the time change got in the way and it was like pitch black at like 5 o'clock, so that wasn't really working anymore. So then we started taking them like to the mall with a babysitter. This just got very complicated, and then you guys know I had Danielle doing it for a while, which was great, but it was still like, it was just hard for Mike to take them out at that hour. And it was just kind of like ruined my whole Sunday, the fact that I had to record every single Sunday. So here is much better because I could do it, you know, on Thursday or Friday for you. And it's not the prep that's so hard. It's just, for me, the prep production for the prep. That's what was a little bit tricky, especially because it's like a one-woman show and it's just a lot of work. So this was the best solution for now. And especially for you guys, you're able to start and stop these videos as you please. So if you're behind on a step, just pause this and you could catch up. Also, what's great about it is that before you even prep, a lot of you like to watch the video, so you can just get a sense of what's going on, get a sense of the menu, see what things you want to modify, and it's very, very helpful having it here. And of course, the technical difficulties that kind of happen with Instagram, where it doesn't save, and there's, you know, so if you see any missing meal preps, it's because Instagram decided not to save my videos, and it just got a little bit difficult. So this has definitely been an easier solution for now, but I do miss the prep and the live prep, and hoping to go back to it at some point soon. All right, maybe like an occasional live prep every so often, which could be fun, right? So let me know what you think about that. Give me a little message on Instagram or DM or something. Let me know what you think. Okay, so here we go. These zucchinis were huge when I tested out this recipe. They were small zucchinis, which is what I noted in the PDF. But you could use any size you want, any amount, just adjust. So if you need to add a little bit more panko, go for it. If you want to add some more egg or add some water to the egg to make it go a little farther, do that. Okay? And just keep dredging away. And you want to leave a little bit of space in between all of your zucchini sticks so that they have room to breathe. It's all about circulating air. Getting everything on a flat surface so it has time to crisp up. You want it to actually be touching the bottom of the pan. Okay. Whenever I'm using tongs, my arm hurts. My fingers get sore. All right, here we go. Keep going with this. And these zucchini sticks are so good. You could do this with any vegetable. So go ahead if you wanted to make like breaded mushrooms. Any kind of like breaded and battered things are so good. And of course, if you wanted to like deep fry these, kind of like a tempura situation, do it. It's really good. Okay. You know my arm's hurting because I'm like reaching all the way over. Okay, let me get more panko. Hang on. Just replenish as needed. Cool. As much or as little as you need. And keep it all moving. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I feel like growing up, my mom used to make zucchini sticks all the time for dinner. They would come out crispy and golden and yum. So good. And we would dunk them in marinara. which I think is the best way to serve them. Here, you're going to be serving the onions the night that you're having the vegan sloppy joes. So what I did when we served those is I actually stuck an onion ring in the actual sandwich with the sloppy joe, which made it so good. It was like a little surprising element. It was so yummy. So you can 100% do that, or to serve it as a side dish. And the actual zucchini sticks we are eating with, let's see, with the halibut, okay? And again, with these meal prep plans, you guys, they're all really thought out. So like if we're ever doing fish, you'll see the fish is always served the first night because that spoils the fastest, and I want you to eat that the freshest. So that's always recommended to eat the first night. Chicken and or meat is always the next night or two. So it all depends on the freshness level and what lasts well. So that is what I recommend. But again, you have complete flexibility here, okay? God, these zucchinis are massive. Again, when I tested this, it was like 6 teeny tiny small zucchinis. So if you don't want to make as much, if you have jumbo zucchinis like I do, just make less, okay? Okay, I think after this, I'm going to move on to the onions. And I may just, okay. Great, yummy. And why I like using panko is it's super crispy and crunchy, and it's so yummy here, okay? So, pause. Let me get rid of these. Too many. It's too big. Okay, hold on. Let me just move them aside for a sec. And let me just rinse my hands. Okay, perfect. I want to show you how we do some of the onions, okay? I'm going to do these with my hands because hands are your best tools in the kitchen. Okay, so here we go. Dunk and dunk in the flour mixture. You see? Dunk and dunk in the egg mixture. Make sure you get those little rims. Dunk and dunk in the panko. These are so good. And I really do recommend, I'm putting it all in one sheet pan. I do recommend putting them on separate, putting your onions on one, zucchinis on the other, just because they cook at different times. The zucchinis will likely be done a little bit earlier than the onions. It just kind of depends on how thick or thin you cut everything, but it's good to have the option to be able to take one out if it's done while the other one is still cooking. Okay, so just continue doing this. Just spread them on all sides and then pop them on your baking sheet that's greased and ready to go. These are just a fun way to eat veggies. Like, veggies don't need to be steamed or boring. It could be really delicious, okay? This is a fun way to do it. Yes, it's not the lightest, but it's great for kids. You're still getting vegetables in. You're using a whole wheat flour here, really any flour that you prefer. You could use a gluten-free flour, of course. When I originally tested this out, I actually did it with an almond meal. It was great. I liked that it was on the healthier side, gluten-free, but the only negative was that it was like, didn't get as crispy as I was hoping for. But feel free to do that if you like. Okay? All right. I told you I completely modified the amount of egg and everything I need, but you guys get the point, right? Yeah? Let's do last two here. Taking off these little rings. You could save them if you like. Just gonna get rid of them for now. And flip and flip. Okay? Give it a little mix around in here. Kind of like out, but okay. Perfect. Yum. It smells so good already. Okay. Go wash your hands up. I'm gonna get rid of this one. I'm gonna get rid of these. Just clean up your station a tiny bit. Give your hands a rinse. So again, normally I'm not into, meal preps that have a lot of steps like that, but these are really good. But you can always modify, make it work. Swap out some of these steps if you don't want to batter them, or do less of them, do more of them. It's totally your call. It could take a while battering and breading all of these, so just do as you please, make us your own. There are 0 rules. I can't even tell you the number of times I get a question like, is it okay if I do this or that? And I always want to give any recommendations, but like, unless you actually need advice, of course. Like, always know that, of course, you could make it your own. Like, don't feel like you're offending me by switching up any recipes. Make it your own. Do your thing. What works for your group of people that you are cooking for. Okay? There we go. And I always keep a garbage next to my station, just so that it's easy cleanup. Okay, I'm gonna give one more little season of salt all over the tippity tops here. Let me show you. So if you did the full amount, you should have 2 full baking sheets of these. And yes, it seems like a lot, but you're gonna have it for the whole week. Okay? That is why. Okay, so either you could bake it now or set it aside and cover it until you're going to serve it fresh the next night, which is what I'm gonna do. All right, next up, we have our, told you, the rest of the prep is gonna go a lot easier. That was the longest. Okay, here we go. Oop. Lay everything aside. If you have eggplant, okay, go to your, let's see, number 2. So you should have 3 eggplants over here. What you're gonna do is wash them really well, cut them in half, and then you're gonna score them. So like, let's say, okay, hold on. Well, I'm gonna cut this into steaks for myself, okay? I'm just gonna cut them into steaks just so I could show you something. And then once you, so let's say you're cutting your eggplant in half. Let's say this is half of the eggplant. You're just gonna go like this and cut slits and then cut this way, kind of like a grid. And then you're gonna bake it. So you're gonna bake it side down first. Let's see. Yeah, face side down for 20 minutes, and you're gonna flip it for 20 minutes in that same 450-degree oven, okay? So that's what you're gonna do. If you're using cabbage like I am, I'm just cutting these into steaks, and you could totally do this. So if you're watching this before you start prepping, like this idea, think maybe, hey, maybe my family will like cabbage more than eggplant too. The eggplant is just being used in those bowls, so it is by no means needed for this. It could be any vegetable you want to roast. So pick something that you particularly love. These meal prep plans are simply a base to get you started, so that you can then custom tailor them to meet your needs. Okay, so I'm just cutting this into little steaks here. Watch your fingers. Use your sharp knife. And we love cabbage. Like, Jolie is our cabbage monster. She's obsessed with purple cabbage. But what's so funny is that when it comes to colors and kids, it's like you would think kids love bright colors. And yes, Jolie's obsessed with purple cabbage. When I brought home a purple cauliflower, I'm thinking like, oh my God, they're gonna love this, the kids. It's gonna be so great. They're gonna eat it up. They could not even taste it. They were too terrified of it. It scared them. They didn't even want to try it. Because they were just so used to cabbage the way they've always had it that they didn't want to try anything new. So if that's the case, like, colors are, it's interesting with kids because you want to introduce different colors. You want them to be scared of them, and you would think kids are really into colorful things, and sometimes they are, but it just shows you it's not always the same with every food. So it just depends on what it is and the context, where they're eating it, how they're eating it. But I was shocked that they didn't want to try the purple cauliflower that I brought home. Okay, I'm gonna do the rest of this on a different baking sheet later, because these cabbages are huge as well. So let's keep moving along for time's sake. Throw this in the oven, 425 degrees. Again, you're gonna cut all your eggplants in half, put them face down on the baking sheet, 20 minutes, and then flip them, 20 minutes, okay? That's that. And you're gonna coat them in olive oil and salt and pepper. I'm gonna do that soon. I actually have like the meat in the oven right now, so I can't actually cook anything now, but I wanted to take you through all this while I had the time. So olive oil, salt, pepper on those eggplants, pop them in the oven. You got this, okay? Next up, here we go. The quinoa, easy peasy. Take a medium pot. I have 2 cups of quinoa in here. You guys know my quinoa ratio. Don't follow the ratios on the containers. They are never accurate. You want a fluffy, beautiful quinoa. So 2 cups quinoa to 3.5 cups water. That's it, done. Put it together, put it in the pot, bring it to a boil. Once it's boiling, lower to simmer, and you will have the most perfect fluffy quinoa Ibs. Okay, next up is our vegan sloppy joes. Okay, so here we go. Here are the ingredients we're using. Another onion, some mushrooms. I have some soy sauce here, black beans. That's gonna be like the meat. Again, if you wanted to incorporate meat into this, you could saute the ground beef first and then add everything else. And add the onions, saute for a little bit longer, and then add the rest. There are always ways to modify to make things work. So if you did not want to do these vegan, you could do meat instead of the black beans. Or you could even do ground chicken. It's totally your call, okay? And if you have any questions, again, reach out either via the private Facebook group, ideally, which is Prep and Rally on Facebook. There's a page and there's a group. The group is for members only. So use your password that you got in your welcome letter to ask for access, and you will be let in if you are a member. Okay, so here we go. I just halved my onion. I have a big pan here. All right, so put it on the heat and get your olive oil in there. Okay, you're bringing your quinoa to a boil, right? Beautiful. Cut my onion in half, peeled it, cut it in half. I cut slits this way, and then I'm gonna cut some slits this way and this way, like a grid. And if you're behind, if your chopping is slower, just pause the video and jump right back into it. And the more you do this, the more you practice, the better and faster you will get. And that is what we are trying to achieve here. Like, I want you guys to be such rock stars in the kitchen. I want you to enjoy your time in the kitchen. And knowing how to cut properly is key, because you could spend hours just cutting one thing. And if you know how to cut properly, you cut that time in half, and you get more time to be more efficient and do more of the things that you want to do rather than being a slave in your kitchen. Okay? Here we go. So we have a whole onion that we're sticking in here. I said purple onion. You could use regular. I don't really think it makes a difference, to be totes honest. Okay? Get your onions in there. You want pretty high heat, like medium high heat. Yum, it's smelling good in here already. Beautiful. Next to go in, let's see. All right. Next up, we have the mushrooms. We're going to chop them up into small pieces. So the mushrooms not only add really great flavor, but if you are keeping this vegan, they add like a nice meatiness. So mushrooms are kind of known to do that. They feel kind of like, they have kind of like this meaty mouthfeel. So it ends up being a really, really great dish. I love this vegan sloppy joe. And what's really fun is that there are always options not only on ways to cook things, but I have so many ideas up my sleeve on how to serve them, and I always want to impart that onto you, show you how to get creative, do things differently, take a tomato soup from night 1 and turn it into shakshuka night 3. So that's, I think, the best tool that I could ever give you, is to know how to repurpose things and how to get the most bang for your buck and not waste leftovers. So even though we're prepping on Sunday and repurposing things, it's kind of like using up leftovers, except I don't like to say that because leftovers kind of has like a negative connotation. But we're just cooking in bulk and then portioning it out throughout the week so that you don't have to worry about dinner every night. So what's fun about these is that you could either serve them in buns, kind of like a traditional sloppy joe. You could also serve them in a taco, call it like a taco night if you have more particular kids who just want tacos all day. You can serve this with tortilla chips, kind of make like cheesy nachos. So like melt all your favorite cheeses over it. If you want to do like jalapeno, make it a nacho night. There's so many different things you could do with these things. It's like endless. It really is. Make a salad over it. You could even serve it over some of this quinoa that we're making here. So there are tons of ways to do it to make it work for everyone, no matter what diet you are on. I always say with some smart ingenuity and creativity in the kitchen, you can make it work for anyone. All right, so mix those two together. Next up, we're going to get black beans in there. We have some tomatoes, tomato paste, soy sauce, and pineapple, because these are Hawaiian. They'd be like kind of Hawaiian sloppy joe. All right, so just throw everything in there. You could saute the onions and mushrooms a little longer. Okay, you don't necessarily have to. Get your black beans in there. And here we go. I'm adding my soy sauce. And whenever I use soy sauce in these meal prep plans, it's usually low sodium. I just do that so that I could then control how much salt, and what you do is just simply taste it and then see how much it needs according to your preference. Some people like things saltier, some less salty, so it's up to you. I have a can here of chopped pineapples. Of course, you can omit this if you're freaked out by it, but it happens to be awesome. Like a Hawaiian sloppy joe. It's kind of like putting pineapple on your pizza. It goes really well with savory. So give it a shot. Maybe a little scary to you, but try it out. And then of course you need like a tomato base to make a sloppy joe. So we have our fire roasted tomatoes. All these recipes are on prepandrally.com. If you log in with your subscription, it's available to you, okay? So here we go, tomato paste, which just makes all this really rich and thick and yummy. And that is the whole thing. I'm gonna season with a little salt, and then at the end, I'm going to taste it once it's ready and decide how much more seasoning it actually needs, okay? So give it a mix around and just simmer it away. And I'm going to cook it for like 10 to 15 minutes uncovered. You want everything to just kind of soften and all those flavors to blend together. But this is like a really, really great dish to just kind of keep in your back pocket. If you're ever in a bind and like I need a last minute meal, you could always keep a lot of these things in your pantry, like the black beans. You could even keep canned mushrooms in your pantry. Onions you usually have at home anyways. Canned tomatoes. So it's a really, really great last minute dinner idea that you could throw together in minutes without going to the grocery store, and you could do it anytime you want. All right, so be sure you're saving these PDFs and keeping them so that you could repurpose and create them another time, because it's not just for the week we're doing it, but these are like kind of like your cookbook. So store them, save them. I love seeing all of your binders that you guys are making and compiling little books out of it. So stinking awesome. All right, let that do its thing for a little longer. And we're gonna move on. We have 2 more things to do. We're gonna do the fish, and we're also going to make a pesto. So you need the pesto in order to make the fish, which is why they're listed in that order, the pesto first and then the fish. Everything is thought out here, remember? Okay, here we go. All right. Quinoa is boiling, by the way, so lower that to a simmer, cover it, and let that do its thing. And it's going to take about like 10 minutes or so for the quinoa to cook. It's basically going to absorb all that water, get nice and fluffy, and then you're going to remove it from the heat, take the lid off, fluff it with a fork, and then put it in your storage container so it doesn't sit for too long on the heat and get mushy and not so great. All right, so here we go. We're going to make our pesto. And the pesto we're going to use in those Meze Bowls that we're making on Wednesday, and we're also going to use it in the fish. So you're already buying ingredients for the pesto. Why not use it twice in 2 different, totally unique ways? So that is kind of how we think when we do these prep and rally meal prep plans, okay? So I have my yummy basil over here, all right? I have my garlic. I'm doing 3 little baby cloves of garlic rather than 2 because they're just tiny. Put this shell in there, yeah. Make sure you don't get any of the peels in there because that wouldn't be so delicious and you could choke someone. Cool. Okay, and here we go. Give it a little peel. Yum, you're smelling so good. Okay, beautiful. All those little papers, throw them away so they don't get in your food. Give my hands a little rinse for the garlic. Garlic is so sticky when it's fresh. All right, lovely, lovely, lovely. All right, so here we go. We have the cloves of garlic, some pine nuts that we're throwing in there. That should be enough. We're gonna season with salt and pepper, olive oil, and Parmesan. So because my immersion blender is Parve, I'm going to simply mix in the Parmesan at the end, okay? So that's what you could do. Instead of actually blending it with Parmesan, just mix it in at the end. Blend it with the oil and the pesto, the basil. And then at the end, just add in and mix in your Parmesan. And this pesto freezes beautifully. If for some reason you have leftovers, which you likely won't, you could always freeze it in little ice cube trays, okay? And this is the reason why I love an immersion blender. I added it to my shop on prepandrally.com. It's in the shop section. It's like 25 bucks, and it is such a game changer because you literally just have to wash this small little piece at the end. I put it in my dishwasher, and it's the greatest kitchen tool I think of all time because it saves so much time. Sauces, dressings, marinades, soups. I make mashed potatoes with them, purees, you name it, and it's easy. You do it directly in the storage container that you're going to be using. I'm using this today just because I think I've already used all my storage containers today. I have to find them. But it saves you on dishes. And like instead of taking a whole pot of soup, putting it into a blender and dirtying up two different things, you literally put this right into your pot. You're good. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, that's it. You take this off. Taste it for saltiness. So good. So good. I think my pesto, my basil, actually was like a lemony basil. It tastes like very lemony, which is actually kind of nice and fresh into that. And here we go. And then we're just going to add our... My dad, who's a dentist, would kill me for doing that. Sorry, Dad. Ow, that hurt. Okay, here we go. Mix around your vegan sloppy joes. It should be smelling and looking really yummy. Another thing you could do with this, if you wanted to make it more of like a tomato-y kind of sauce, you could take your same immersion blender, blend it up so it's smooth, and it's a great way to get extra fiber and protein into a sauce by putting some beans in it because they're completely flavorless. They just make everything thick and creamy and yummy and add amazing health benefits. So if you're looking to get some extra calories in either for yourself or for your kids, you could always blend beans into a soup or a sauce. You will never see them. You will never really taste them because it just kind of takes on the flavor that you add to it. Okay, so I've just added my Parmesan. You could do finely grated. You could do shredded, anything you like. Oh, so good. So good. And I have a whole blog post on pesto on how to repurpose it, how to store it, what to do with it. So you could check that out. That's on prepandrally.com as well. Give it a little taste. Oh my God, like just such perfection. It's so good. Okay, I'm gonna move this out of the way. And we're gonna finish up here with our last item, which is the fish and papillote, which simply just means fish in parchment paper. Of course, I forgot to buy parchment paper. Awesome, okay. But I'm gonna show you an example using tin foil. I'm not actually gonna bake mine in tin foil today because apparently it's just not so healthy to do that. But I'm just gonna show you for an example. I forgot I have to cut these. Bring your board back. Put this right up here. Okay. All you're gonna do now, so that pesto you just made, you're gonna save half of it to use in those bowls that we made. The other half, you're just gonna take and divvy up a little bit, like a tablespoon or so, on the tops of each of your fish. And I'm just showing you an example on one of them. Okay. So just take this. Oh, actually, sorry. Salt and pepper to season first, your fish, okay? Even before you add the pesto. Season it with salt and pepper. You guys see what I'm doing? So basically you're putting your fish in a little square of parchment paper or tin foil in my case, okay? Then you're gonna take your little pesto and you're just gonna coat the whole thing with it. And I'm just gonna take this to help me scrape that off. Okay, get every little bit because it's so good. All right, and either you could let this sit overnight in these parchment papers, or you can cook it now so that it's done with. It's totally your call what you wanna do. Okay, get rid of that spoon. And here we go. Now the rest is up to you what you wanna add. If you wanna put some slices of lemon there, go right ahead. I'm adding a big old bunch of dill. I have some scallions here that you could just chop up. And these just look really beautiful when you present them this way. It's kind of special because everyone gets their own little package. You could have your kids even help you assemble these little packages the night of if you like, instead of doing it now, because they only take like 15 minutes or so to cook, depending on how big your piece is. And then instead of using oil, I have my sun-dried tomatoes here packed in oil. So I have my actual sun-dried tomatoes, plus I have the oil that it comes in, which is so flavorful. Never throw that out. So you could just take all that yummy flavor, put it right on top of your fish like that. Brilliant. So you guys see this, how beautiful that looks. Okay, and then all you're doing is you're gonna take your parchment paper or your tin foil, fold it over. You wanna make sure your piece is large enough so that when you fold it over, kind of like in a triangle, that it covers the entire piece, okay? So fold it over kind of like into a triangle like this. And then starting from one end of your parchment paper, obviously the tin foil holds better than parchment paper, but the parchment paper does hold. You just have to start from one corner and fold it over, like connect both of the pieces together, and then fold over, fold over, fold over until you work your way all the way around. So you almost have like a little empanada or something. And the whole thing is you want to trap that steam in there so it cooks really, really well. It keeps all the moisture in there, and it's just a really fun way to present it. This was actually, this fish is supposed to be cut in 2 pieces. I just did it all in one. You could do that. It's going to take a little bit longer to cook, but it's totally up to you if you want to do individuals. And that's it. You could store it in the fridge like this, cook it the night of, or you can cook it now and be done with it. Okay? That is really everything, you guys. That is the Sunday Prep Rally. That is week, holy moly, week 19. Week 20 next week. I can't believe we've been doing this for 20 weeks, okay? If you are a year-long subscriber, you have access to the full archives. Obviously, if you are not a full member, a full year member, and you have one particular meal prep that you were looking for, shoot me an email. I'm happy to send it to you. Otherwise, get on board with the yearly, and I will share the archives with you if you missed the beginning ones. We also have our ebook with 3 of some of our favorite meal prep plans so far, so you can purchase that on the Prep and Rally site as well, along with the chicken ebook, which has all of our favorite chicken recipes to date. So you can get all that on prepandrally.com. Lots more ebooks coming your way soon once I get a second. Okay, so that's it. I want to show you what this Sloppy Joe looks like. It looks so good, smelling amazing. The quinoa is done. That's so fast. It cooks so quickly. Check it out. Can you see? Perfectly fluffy. I'm going to fluff it with a fork. We have our pesto. We have our fish and papillote. Continue doing that with the other pieces of fish. We have the quinoa. We have our vegan Sloppy Joes, all of our breaded, yummy onion rings and zucchini sticks. Our either cabbage or our eggplant. All right, guys, I hope you love this week. Let me know what you think. Head to prepandrally.com, get your PDF, make sure you download them, save them, let me know what you think. And yeah, I cannot wait to see all your creations. Be sure to tag and post at Prep and Rally on Instagram so I could see how your week goes. I hope you all enjoy it all. Enjoy. Love you guys.